Hello there, this is Stephanie, and in this video, we will review chapter 20, Language and Culture, of the book The Study of Language by George Yule. The relationship between culture and language, it's a complex one. The two are intertwined. A particular language usually points out to a specific group of people. When you interact with another language, it means that you are also interacting with the culture that speaks the language. We are not able to understand a culture without accessing its language directly. Then, culture can be defined as socially acquired knowledge. Therefore, the way we learn our native or first language, customs, and behavior is through cultural transmission. It is also essential to understand that the terms or concepts acquired in a specific language are based on what exists in the environment where that language is spoken. For example, Buddha's hand is an exotic citrus fruit that has a name in Asia because it grows there. However, in America, there are no Buddha's hand fruits. Not surprisingly, there were no words formed for them. According to Yule, we must have a conceptual system that includes these things as distinct and identifiable categories. But you may be wondering, what is a category in language? A category is a group of words with certain features in common. Moreover, we can think of the vocabulary we learn as a set of category labels. These are the words for referring to concepts that people in our social world had the necessity to talk about. Actually, there are conceptual differences in vocabulary that are called lexicalized in one language and not in another one. So lexicalized are expressed as a single word. A type of lexicalized category is kinship terms. These are words used to describe the relationship be- people have within a family. For example, in the English language, in order to describe the relationship people have within a family, we have mother, father, brother, sister, grandmother, and grandfather. Let's complete this comparative chart based on the information that is presented on the slide. According to Foley, kinship terminology in Watam, a language spoken in Papua New Guinea, is rather different from English. The word I is used for both father and father's brother, while am is used for both mother and mother's sister. The words akwai and nampai are used for mother's brother and father's sister, respectively. So let's go ahead and see how this chart will look. So as you can see, uh, Watan speakers call their mothers and their female parent sister the same way, and am. On the contrary, English speakers call their female parent sister and their male parent sister aunt. It will be interesting to understand how Watan speakers differentiate between mother and aunt when referring, for example, to their female parent sister. But in the case of English speakers, they could just say my maternal aunt. Or when they are referring to their male parent sister, they could say my paternal aunt. Based on these examples, we are able to determine that there is proof that there are different ways of talking about reality within languages. This is related to linguistic relativity, where relativity means absence of standards of absolute and universal application. In other words, There is not a universal application of talking about reality that applies for every single language. Additionally, it is also imperative to notice that speakers of a specific language are influenced by the categories within that language. Our first language seems to have a definite role in shaping the way we think about things and the way we go about our daily lives without even analyzing it. This is called linguistic determinism, which holds that we can only think in the categories provided by our language and not in a different language or any other way. With this in mind, let's talk about cognitive categories. We can look at language structure for evidence on how people think in a specific language. For instance, Yule mentions that the word animate in one language means having life, while in another means having special importance in life. Hopi speakers believe that clouds have life, while the Jawa speakers think that the moon, uh, rocks, and pineapple have a special importance in life. Then we have social categories that categorize individuals based on their social connections. Nevertheless, in many situations, a word such as uncle, brother, or grandfather are used for many people who are not covered by the technical definition of these words or these social roles. This falls into the address terms. This is defined as a word or phrase for the person being talked to. A practical example will be when a Salvadorian addresses an old man who he doesn't know. Um, some people tend to call old men abuelos, and even though the old man is not their grandpa. The same happens with tío and tía. If an adult woman looks like a tia, then she's called a tia, even though she is not my tia, but it's someone's tia. Or she looks like a tia. Next, we have TV distinction that consists on the difference between the French pronouns such as toi, that tells that the person being talked to is socially close, and vous, that tells the person is socially distant. Actually, in Spanish, we respectively have tú and usted. Now let's talk about gender. In languages exist terms to differently address men and women. This leads us to a consideration of the most fundamental difference in social categorization, the one based on gender. Um, we have gender words. According to Yule, used by there are words that are only used by men, or there are words that are only used by women or for women in a variety of languages. For instance, in the English language, we have when we want to refer to a man who acts, we say an actor for a man, and for a woman, we say actress. The same happens with the words hero for men or heroine for women. Next, we have gender structures. This has to do with the prestige someone demonstrates when speaking correct grammar structures. According to studies, women are less likely to use slang because they are more aware of social status and how others may judge them if they don't speak correct grammar. On the other hand, men are more likely to use slang because they are believed to be independent. In other words, Men are uh, they tend to speak the way they want because society won't judge them, and because they're thought as strong and independent. Fine. But then we have gender speech. It is known that women speak in a higher pitch and men, on the other hand, speak in a lower pitch. When we talk about gender speech, we refer to the way women and men speak in terms of straightforward communication. Women are more likely to use hedges such as sort of or kind of. Also, women are more likely to use tag questions like, isn't it, don't you, etc. Contrastively, men tend to use more assertive forms and strong language. For example, a woman says, it's kind of cold in here, isn't it? And a man says, it's too damn cold in here. You see the difference? So, women are less assertive because they are afraid to give an opinion and be judged or be um, or don't have an approval or don't get any someone's approval. So let's see a work related example. As you can see, she's even nervous after typing an email like her male colleagues would type it, because we as women are not taught to express ourselves in an assertive and strong way. Because people tend to call women bossy when using or when being assertive and straightforward while communicating. Then we have gendered interaction. Women interaction becomes a shared activity. It means that there are women shared turns, they turn taking, they have equals turn taking, and they have more back channels are produced by women as a sign of paying attention to the speaker. For example, there are words like yeah, really, that denotes that someone is paying attention, or it sounds like uh-huh. So that tells you that the listener is actually paying listening or paying attention. When men interact, they take longer terms. It's like a hierarchical interaction where one man tends to speak more than the rest. Uh, and there are fewer back channels produced. In cross gender interactions, men are more likely to interrupt women. And as you know, that is um, known in the present time as mansplaining. And also, men are less likely to produce back channels. This is something interesting because as women do produce them more often, if men, while interacting with the women, do not produce back channels, then it makes the women believe that he is not paying attention. Conversely, when women produce back channels, men believe that they are agreeing to what he's saying. And they are actually not doing that. What they're doing is, um, well, producing sounds and words to make him know that the woman is paying attention. So this was very interesting, but we had got to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching.